Hey guys, it's Devin, and today's topic is about the deconditioning process in human design. So, I like taking human design topics and integrating them with a holistic experience. So, my background is in healing and in all different modalities of healing, but I love using the foundation of the body graph as a roadmap of how the energy works in the body. So let's talk a little bit about the deconditioning process. This is a question that comes up often, and it's not like the prettiest topic to talk about because deconditioning and detoxing and reprogramming the body can feel kind of brutal and gritty and intense and uncomfortable and overwhelming, and it can feel like we're going through deaths and rebirths on a constant basis. So in 2012, when I set off for 1 year of transformation and adventure, it ended up being 7. So I've spent the last 7 years essentially healing, reprogramming, and deconditioning. Now, I don't particularly recommend that path because, it's kind of the spiritual warrior path, but I think that more and more people are getting called to do this kind of work, or they recognize a validity or a truth in human design, or the gene keys, or other systems of self-knowledge, or are drawn down the healing path in some capacity and want to learn a little bit about the deconditioning process. So for me, when I started this experiment, every year, sometimes even on a weekly basis, I feel like I have a new body, a new mind, and a new way that I operate. Now, when we begin to experiment and implement with some of these key strategies in human design, and we bring our awareness to these different energy mechanics, basically what happens is great change. Great change happens, and it's intense. So when we reprogram something, when we break a pattern, sometimes the body is tired. Sometimes we feel serious withdrawal symptoms of something that we've had, or a way of living, or a way of being most of our lives that all of a sudden doesn't work anymore. So it takes a lot of courage to go down the deconditioning path, because most of the deconditioning path isn't really this pretty, like, happy-go-lucky, I'm positive all the time. No, it's very uncomfortable, and it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to say no. It takes a lot of courage to start making decisions differently. It takes a lot of courage to radically trust ourselves. So when it comes to the deconditioning process, self-care should be a top priority. And when it comes to deconditioning in human design, when we start to implement different strategies, most of the time, the majority of the population has a strategy that involves some kind of waiting. And a lot of times these spiritual pursuits basically make us, or force us, to slow down a bit. And when we start to slow down a bit, all of a sudden our stuff comes up, and it's heavy, and it's intense, and it's uncomfortable, and it's painful. But what do we do in that process? We need to learn how to take care of ourselves, and we need to learn to treat the deconditioning process as if we're treating invisible wounds. Because, for example, if we have a physical cut or a physical injury, we can see it and we know how to tend to it on a logical way, right? But what do we do with spiritual wounds and emotional wounds and things that are being let go of? I think that we should tend to them with the healer within ourselves, as if we are tending to physical wounds that we can't see, but a lot of times we can feel. So what I've noticed, especially with people who are recovering from some kind of trauma or some kind of really intense reprogram or life shift, they have the same symptoms as if they were to be physically injured or wounded. And I know in myself I have that too. And sometimes I forget to take care of myself as if I would with an injury. And injuries heal on their own. Sometimes we just need to move or navigate life with a little bit more ease through that deconditioning process. So for example, if there's an emotional wound that we're getting over, or some kind of death, like an ending of something, right? We may not see the physical repercussions like that affect the body, but we feel it, and it can come up like symptoms of fatigue, feeling really tired. It's like basically going into a cocoon and being in a metamorphosis stage and having no idea what's coming on the other end. But what do we need most? We need to wrap ourselves up in cocoons so the body can take its natural course. Or, for example, I got injured a couple years ago, and I broke my collarbone, and as much as my mind wanted to do things, I was literally physically stopped by the pain. So if you're going through the deconditioning process, or the detox process, or massive change and reprogramming in your life and your decisions, take care of yourself as if you would going through some kind of physical transition, because basically your body needs to catch up with what is going on through your navigation. So, for example, like if you get a cut, you're going to want to wrap that up so that you're not hitting it all the time, right? And then eventually it heals and you can use it again, right? Well, if we change or reprogram something on an emotional level, an intuitive level, and a mental level, we're going to need to kind of wrap ourselves up a little bit so that we're not bumping into that again, so we can properly heal and move forward in the deconditioning process. Also with the deconditioning process, you know, there's a lot of purging. I think a main symptom is purging. I'm in Bali right now, and Bali is like the queendom of purging. I mean, anything you're holding on to, she'll give you food poisoning real quick to throw it up. I have a lot of stories about that. But on an energetic level, when we're doing deconditioning or reprogramming work, it's really about purging or letting go of the old so we can welcome in the space for the new. So what else can we do to purge so that we're not actually throwing up, right? We can move our body, we can sweat, we can go to the steam room, we can take baths, we can exercise, we can meditate, we can do all these things to take care of the body through that process. And I do believe that we can begin on a mental, intentional reprogram level, and through that, but the body still needs to catch up. So if you're highly intellectual or you're really fascinated with systems, what can happen is that the mind gets overloaded and then the body has to slow down to actually catch up. So what I would recommend in your deconditioning process with human design is to take in the information, but to also take care of your body, to listen to it radically. If you need to rest, rest. If you need to move, move. If you need to say no, say no. The more brutally and radically honest you can be with your self-care through this process, the quicker that your quantum leaps will happen. And when we go through quantum shifts of reality, it can feel like we're literally in an entire different kind of paradigm in the way that we see life. And we're in a new paradigm in the way that we see life. We have to treat ourselves like that kind of baby that's coming out. We need to care for ourselves. We need to implement new disciplines, new lives, new things that feel right. We need to like catch up the body through the deconditioning process. And I also want to say that don't be afraid of the deconditioning process. If you need to rest or you need to purge or you're feeling physical symptoms, to take care of them, but to know that it will pass. And the more that you kind of embrace it and let the body rest or let the body cocoon or let the body, you know, rage or let the body dance, you know, let the body kind of do what it needs to do to process whatever is going on, it will pass and there will be a new you. I mean, even in the last couple days, I went through a pretty severe illness with a fever and a pretty dark night. And that I woke up and I was sharp again after a couple days and really clear. And today I have more energy than I have in a really long time. So go through the process and embrace the deconditioning process, because when secure walls of conditioning start to fall down, it can feel really scary and shaky. But it's the only way to really see as yourself and to move forward as yourself and to create the new life and the new paradigm and the new container and the space for yourself to shine, to express, to be who you are, to make decisions as you are, and all that good stuff. So I hope that this little download about the deconditioning process was helpful for you. Of course, I always love to hear from you guys, so make sure to leave some love in the comments and make sure to subscribe and follow to stay in touch for more. Lots of love, guys, and sending you guys so much healing on your reprogramming and your metamorphic state of coming into your own transformational butterflyness. Lots of love, guys. Bye for now.